we go, I think I started some shit. Piss 'em off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss 'em off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm
very confused here. Okay, here's our guy. Matt Randolph, Mr. Global is the guy I'm looking for on TikTok.
Delusional meltdown. He's now posting AI-generated images.
Now, he's a world-renowned gas and energy oil expert. So let's see what he thinks about Trump's plan to globally recognized oil and gas expert and gas VP. I don't ask for investment. So he's had a bunch of people like pretending to be him. This guy knows what he's talking about, right? He's in the gas and oil industry. That's what he does for a living, and he knows about it. So let's see if we can find the right video.
20 today that under my leadership.
That's not it. Hold on.
I'm announcing today that under my leadership, the United States
Here we go.
will commit to the ambitious goal of slashing energy and electricity prices by half at least.
Energy and electricity prices by half at least. Now, here's a question. Do you think, let's talk about something we know. Let's talk about a car, okay? Whitney Webb, she did an interview on Trump and Vance and their ties to Peter Thiel. Yeah, Peter Thiel's very strange. And Peter Thiel's kind of kicked off this like, oh, tech bro Trump support thing, but they're all fucking weirdos. All right. Let's think about something we all know, a car. Let's say you have not a fucking luxury car, but let's say you have a value brand new car, like the lowest model, the SE model, without, if they still do this, without power windows, without any luxury, any frill, and it's a $40,000 car, a $40,000 brand new car. It is the bottom of the line, the lowest make, the lowest model, because we're trying to put out something as cheap as possible, right? Do you think that you could cut the price of a base model, cheapest car in the lineup, $40,000 in half and sell it? Do you think that a company could do that? Could take a $40,000 car, base model, no frill, no like downgrading packages, but sell it for $20,000? Would it be possible without them going fucking broke? The answer is no, right? They could. I mean, they would destroy their company. The answer is no, because some things are fixed cost. So $40,000 isn't all profit. It's not like we can just charge $20,000 to just make. Some things are fixed cost, right? You have just the energy to produce it. You have people that work there. You have the base metal in the car, right? You have the engine you have to put in. You have everything has a cost. So if we're selling a $40,000 car, we probably make it for like $30,000, right? So you can't take it and do 50% off and sell it and hope to be a fucking company. Well, the same thing is with gas and oil, but we just don't think of it the same way, right? There's a fixed production cost. So when Trump says that I can cut oil by 50%, probably not. It's not like oil is making this 50% markup. There's the cost in maintenance and the equipment. I used to work in energy, right? I worked at all the power plants. There's a cost to maintain all that. There's a cost to purchase that. There's a cost. And usually, even though power is like extremely volatile when people like try to talk about it, or when prices go up and shit, they're not making a lot of power companies are subsidized or ran in conjunction with like local utilities, like a local municipality. Those people aren't making fucking bank, even though energy's stupid expensive. But there's a fixed cost to have people work, to have the lines fixed, to have the generators running, to have whatever fuel they're burning, to have all of that. Now, when we start talking about oil production, right now, natural gas is as low as it fucking gets. Natural gas is stupid fucking cheap. Why is natural gas stupid fucking cheap? Natural gas is a byproduct of when we drill for oil, right? Natural gas is a byproduct of when we drill for oil. So we are drilling for oil more now than any other country in the world in history. In fucking history. So if we're drilling at home more for oil than any other time ever, natural gas prices are going to go down, right? Because it's a byproduct. Natural gas comes out a lot of time, not always, right? They're natural gas farms, but not always. But production always goes up when we're drilling for more oil. So when we cut off domestic oil, which he's going to tell you why this would cut off domestic oil, we cut off domestic oil, stuff like natural gas shoots through the fucking roof. Because when a foreign country is drilling for oil and they produce natural gas, it's not a byproduct for us, right? It's a byproduct for wherever the fuck they are. When we're drilling for oil and we also hit natural gas very often, that's a byproduct. We already paid to do, whether we get natural gas or not, we already paid to drill for this oil. So the byproduct we sell really, 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 really cheap. When another country drills for oil to sell it to us and they happen to hit natural gas, they sell it in their fucking country. They're not selling it to us as a byproduct. They're selling it to us at a fucking premium if we have to buy it from them. But this guy will explain the market a lot better than I probably could. He is the expert where I'm a layman. But here you go.
I'm announcing today that under my leadership, the United States will commit to the ambitious goal of slashing energy and electricity prices by half at least.
He is going to cut energy prices by at least half within 12 months.
I've showed you this guy before. So he got a lot of hate for saying that, for showing why the gas prices were Trump's fault with the bullshit deal he did with OPEC on the way out and lied to him and all that. Like he got slammed for that, and we covered his video when he did that.
What would that look like? So the current price of gas is $3.44 on a national average. So we're talking about $1.72 a gallon on a national average gas. What would it?
$3.44. So $1.72 gas. Now I know that MAGA people like to fucking beat their dick to like a 99-cent gallon of gas. But I don't even think, he may say it here in a second, I can't remember. I don't even think it ever got that cheap under Trump, even during COVID, when COVID fucking tanked gas prices, when on the market, crude oil barrels were at a surplus price.
What would it take to get $1.72 a gallon gas on a national average? I'll put it to you this way. It never got there under his administration.
It only got down to $1.93.8 was the lowest it got to, even during COVID, as a national average. You may have had it for $1.70 where you live. Like I live in a place where we have cheap gas prices, so it was below that. But we're talking about as a national average.
And even under COVID, the lowest it got on a national average was $1.93 in the month of April 2020. You would need oil to be about $20 a barrel to cut the price of gas in half. You don't just cut the price of oil in half because some of the cost in a gallon of gas are fixed costs. So $20 a barrel oil, what does that mean? That means you are totally reliant on foreign oil because there is no U.S. oil and gas industry left.
Did you hear that? If Trump's fever dream of cutting energy costs in half was a reality, U.S. companies cannot make a profit at that. There would be the entire U.S. economy based around oil would fucking collapse. Would collapse. If, I don't think foreign countries could do $20 a barrel, but if Foreign countries could do $20 a barrel. U.S. companies could not compete. There would be 0 U.S. companies. So all these jobs where Trump says, I love drilling. If everybody's going to have a job, we're going to do the pipeline. We love fracking. What is that? I don't even know what it is. We love it, right? All those jobs are gone. While he claims Biden's trying to shut this down, if for some reason that he could get these energy, it would destroy every oil producing job in the United States. Whenever I say oil, the way you guys want me to say it, it sounds so fucking weird coming out of my mouth. Am I saying it weird? Oil?
After that, production would drop at the fastest rate in history. Job loss would drop at the fastest rate in history. GDP in the United States would turn negative the first month, and we would enter a recession. But
GDP, the gross domestic product, GDP would turn negative within the first month. So all the jobs he claims to be saving, all the drill, baby, drill, he does not understand how energy works, but he's telling you he's going to fix it. Yeah, technically the oil prices were positive, but you couldn't buy it like that. That's just the way the market puts on it. You couldn't buy. It's not like you could go, anybody, even companies could go to OPEC and be like, okay, I want a barrel of oil and you give me $34 or whatever it was. That was just the market drop and trying to recorrect from COVID, when COVID happened.
he said energy and electricity. What would happen to electricity costs if oil went to $20 a barrel? Electricity costs would skyrocket at the fastest rate in history. Yeah, this dude don't know shit.
So if oil and gas could be cut in half, electricity prices would skyrocket. Right? You're talking about like if you have a $300 bill going to like $1,000 or $2,000 bill.
Shit about energy. Like he knows, I can't believe how little he knows. Anyway, currently natural gas prices are lower than they've been in over 30 years. The reason natural gas prices are so low is because of all of the associated natural gas that we are producing with the extra oil production. That means natural gas production in the United States would collapse with the...
So if we shut down our oil production, natural gas would also collapse.
Oil production and natural gas prices would skyrocket.
That's right, you idiot. Who cares about GDP when I got JD's cup of jizz?
Because we can't rely on OPEC for natural gas. No, we can't rely...
GDP? You mean JD's PP?
...on anybody for natural gas. We're on our own.
Got him. Lock
so
in,
if
chat.
that production plummets, that price skyrockets. We saw that after COVID when natural gas went to $10 an MCF. That was because natural gas production had cratered because we lost a lot of oil production as well as...
And again, even when shit, let's say today, that just for the next month, crude oil went to $20 a barrel and everything halted in the U.S., right? Production, refinery, everything comes to a stop. Let's say it lasts for 6 months. But we know at the end of that 6 months, it'll probably come back up. Refineries, drilling rigs, the entire process of going from crude oil to gasoline, diesel, whatever, takes months and months and months to start back up. right? These plants shut down. Sometimes, depending on how bad the market is, literally stop in the middle of a production run. And then they've got to be brought back online safely without damaging the equipment. It takes a long time to get this shit back up. This is what I used to do. We used to do plant shutdowns. Hell, some of the plants we would shut down and do their maintenance on, it would take several days just to get this certain polymer plant or something up and running, because you had heaters on this and you had air dryers and like everything has to be perfect to make these chemicals, right? Everything would have to be perfect to make these chemicals and get them coming out the other end without blowing somebody up or killing somebody or releasing toxic gas. So you can imagine that the oil industry, when they fire these, they don't just like flip a switch, we're on, flip a switch, we're off, flip a switch, we're on, flip a switch, we're off. They need some type of length of guaranteed time that oil is going to be at a certain price, or they're not even going to try to fire up the plants, right? Let's say it skyrockets for 3 days at fucking $3,000 a barrel. But after that, it drops to $20 a barrel. They unless they see a long enough run to where they can get up and going and make their money back, they're not even going to fire the plant up.
Natural gas production. Oh, and by the way, the cost of electricity in the United States did not drop one single year under his administration.
Oh, no. So 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, it was always going up a little bit under his administration. So I thought he said we have an energy crisis, which is the way to fix inflation. Weird, because under his administration, the cost of energy never went down. It actually went slowly up. Not by giant leaps and bounds, but it was still going up. That's weird. Because he tells you, remember the economy you had with me? I can get that back. And the problem is energy costs are driving inflation. Energy costs don't drive inflation.
Went up every single year. For people that know and understand energy like I do, this may be one of the dumbest statements that Donald Trump has ever made.
Right. Everything in the production line gets shut down, all the way from where they're pumping the oil, drilling for the oil, looking at prospecting, to all the way to the refinery, all the way. Everything gets shut down, right?
Thanks.
All right, I'm going to check out some more of his videos because I guarantee you some retards commented on it and he had to reply to them.
Something I've talked about and predicted many times on my channel, much to the dismay of followers and people that watch my content, and it's totally happening. It's totally happening, and that is that wind energy is not cutting it. And since wind energy is not cutting it, just as in 2023 and 2024, the United States will set a new record for consumption of natural gas, and that's because we're needing it to make electricity, because wind isn't doing it.
When I went to work at power plants, I would say probably 80% of the power plants I've ever went into are LNG, natural gas, right? Wind, solar, they're awesome to supplement. I just don't see us switching over to them like broadly. Even the plant that I built in Asheville, which is one of the last jobs I worked on the road, even though it was just 30 minutes from the house. The plant we built in Asheville was shutting down a coal-fired plant and putting in a natural gas plant. And they had like a deadline where they had to turn one off. We were actually like, this job was like super, super like specced out and rushed because they had promised to shut the coal-fired plant down by the last day of the year. And that other plant had to be online so they could change over, right? If not, they were going to be buying their electricity from neighboring cities at like twice the average rate or whatever it was.
U.S. boosts natural gas power as wind output slumps to 33-month low. Last year, we had more capacity to generate wind energy than any year in history, and our electricity generation in wind dropped. And the same is happening this year. We're going to produce less wind energy this year than we have in nearly 3 years, even though we have significantly more wind turbines and capacity, over 6 gigawatts more. And that's because, as I've told you many times, if the wind doesn't blow, it doesn't matter how many wind turbines you got. And since natural gas is the backup power.
That's why solar a lot of times is, I think solar is probably a better investment because you might not get a whole lot of windy days, and it takes a lot to move a wind turbine. It's not like a light breeze, right? You put them in really windy places, but you might get days that aren't always sunny, but you know there's going to be a bunch of those days that are sunny.
Power for when wind isn't working, we're consuming record amounts of natural gas. And this is going to be 2 years in a row.
There are people that claim they can do that. Are you talking about what are they called, divination rods? There are people that claim they can do that for oil as well.
Record amounts of natural gas, even though we have record amounts of wind energy capacity available to us. In 2024, electricity consumption in the United States is going to increase.
They claim they can do it for coal and copper and diamonds and all kinds of shit.
By 4%. I've told you guys this. Electricity demand is going to jump. In the next 15 years, we're going to add 200 quadrillion BTUs of electricity demand. That's like adding 2 more United States of America to the world. I've talked about data centers and hot weather and all the things that are going to drive this demand. That is happening. Full-blown happening. Of the 4% increase in consumption in electricity, we're going to see in 20...
I know nobody likes to talk about it on the right, but this is also a consequence of the temperature overall getting warmer, right? And that's a huge demand for it. People don't like to be hot. You guys probably don't know hardly anybody that still lives without air conditioner, right?
24. Natural gas is going to account for 2/3 of that, and solar is going to pick up the slack. Wind is not even in the equation because we're producing less. I've told you guys for a long time that I was a big fan of solar. People like myself and Robert Bryce.
Solar's probably a really good investment. I would probably stay away from wind. Wind is subsidized to survive, it seems like. That they've been having really bad years, but the government props them up enough because they want green energy. That's how they stay in business most of the time. And I used to build wind farms. That was a job I had when I first went out working on the road.
Long time that wind just isn't cutting it. And of course the accusations always are, oh, you're just anti-renewable, you're pro-oil, all of the accusations. No, we just want something that works. We just want something that works, and that is why we are both so pro-nuclear. Wind energy gets over 10 times the subsidies that oil and gas, and
I don't know why people are so scared of nuclear energy. It's fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing. We use nuclear to produce steam and run steam turbines. Just like now that we use coal or LNG or whatever to produce steam, to run steam turbines, right? We use this, so like on when you go to like a gas-fired, a natural gas power plant, what happens is natural gas comes in. It goes through 2 gas turbines. It's usually 2 on 1. Sometimes it's different, but let's just say the average is 2 on 1. So it goes through 2 gas turbines. As it goes to the gas turbine, it's a big fucking jet engine bolted to a generator, bolted to the ground, right? So that gas turbine uses this LNG. That LNG it's exhausted out, right? It's burn up. That exhaust is still hot. So you use what they call HRSG, which is heat recovery steam generation. So in the exhaust of that gas turbine are a bunch of pipes running in there full of water. It's so hot, it boils that water and makes steam. It does a steam power plant. With nuclear, you just make the steam and you refuel it like every 10, 20 fucking years, and it just works. It just works. Yeah, but it's such a small amount of waste. It's such a small amount of waste. I've changed fuel rods before.
Other energy gets, yet it is oil and gas that is having to cover for wind's failures. Those subsidies need to be directed towards nuclear, towards something that works, period. So this is something I've talked about and predicted many times on my channel, much to the dismay of followers and people that watch my content.
Let's go next. I want to see.
Breaking news. It's just been reported that Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be introducing a policy to stop companies from price gouging and to lower the cost of groceries.
Price gouging laws already exist in 42 states, and people don't understand what price gouging is.
So if we have 1,000, so power plants are measured in megawatts. So if we have 1,000 megawatt nuclear power station, right? 1,000 megawatt. It would supply power to over 1 million people. Okay? If you take the nuclear waste from it and run it through the recycling process we have now, it would produce about the size of a brick of waste. The size of a brick, like you build a brick house over a year. 1 million people with power, and the waste from this is about the size of a brick. Now, the waste that they're actually worried about, which is called high-level waste, right? This is still radioactive, still within its half-life. High-level waste is about 5 grams a year. Nuclear should be at the backbone of our power system. If you want to do wind and solar and all that other shit, right, LNG, nuclear should be the backbone. It should be the largest percentage, and worst case scenario, fucking wind stops, sun stops, LNG prices skyrocket. We ought to be able to run a skeleton of the United States, like what needs to be ran off nuclear.
People think if cereal is too expensive today, then that's price gouging. It's not. Price gouging is when a company raises the price of their goods over a certain threshold during an emergency.
That Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be
I missed
introducing
this,
a policy to stop companies from price gouging and to lower the cost of groceries.
Price gouging laws already exist in 42 states, and people don't understand what price gouging
I
is.
think it's 48 states, but yeah.
People think if cereal is too expensive today, then that's price gouging. It's not. Price gouging is when a company raises the price.
So price gouging is technically not what we're talking about, right? A price gouging would be when you're like doing it on purpose during a pandemic. Like, let's say everybody needs toilet paper and you take toilet paper. One company takes toilet paper to $200 and they control the supply of toilet paper. So it's $200 a roll, right? That's gouging at a specific time period. We're actually talking about record profits, and it's pretty fucked up that they won't lower. So their production costs went up. They raised their prices, right? They made the same profit. Production costs went down. They're keeping their profits record high numbers. And inflation has went back down. He should have brought those. If they like to play by inflation, right? Fair is fair. So when inflation goes up, we understand that they're going to raise their fucking prices. But when inflation goes fucking down, they ought to lower their fucking prices, and they do not.
Price of their goods over a certain threshold during an emergency situation. It does not apply when there's no emergency. Price fixing is when companies coordinate together to keep prices artificially high. A federal law against price gouging does nothing to lower prices because it only applies during times of an emergency.
I think people, listen, we haven't seen the law that she would implement, right? I think they're saying price gouging because it's either to understand that than price fixing. Plus, it's like catchier, right? People are going to say it. People are going to repeat it. People know what it means, or think they know what it means. Again, the issue is price fixing, I guess.
This is not how you fix high prices. This country has allowed huge corporations to monopolize industries for decades.
Exactly.
It's the cause of high prices because there's not enough competition to drive prices down. There's a handful of companies that provide us all of our food, and if they...
This is why I only drink RC Cola. I drive out of my way to... Who owns RC Cola? I better see. That was a joke, by the way, but I do love my favorite soft drink. I drink 2 a day is RC Cola. I drink 1 when I come to the office, and then I take 1 with me from the office. I drink 2 a day. It is owned by Cadbury Schweppes. There you go.
They have no competition, and there's no emergency, and there's no price fixing. They can charge whatever they want, and there's nothing we can do about it other than introduce more competition into the marketplace. This campaign promise will be received very well by a lot of people, but it's an empty...
I hope there's a way that we can fix this. It seems like when we're just talking about Coke and Pepsi, I mean, it seems like price fixing is going on, because if just one of them lowered their prices to pre-pandemic prices, they would take a gigantic amount of the market share.
promise.
I know some people prefer Pepsi over Coke or Coke over Pepsi, but if it's fucking 60% of the price of the other one, a lot of people would change.
When I taught you about the scam that was the Fuel Price Gouging Act,
I love RC Cola.
I taught you that only applies in emergency.
I have to go out of my way to buy it, but I fucking love it.
It was already against the law in over 40 states. This is the same thing. This is the exact same thing. Thanks.
We have some breaking news.
So this is another widely held belief that is just completely false.
It says build more refineries, sell to the rest of the world, fuel and transportation prices go down, prices of all products go down. Again, we would only build factories while it was profitable for them. So let's say we build 1 million new properties and that drives the price down to $20 a barrel. Those companies are going to drive themselves out of business.
I'm sorry, but it is. And I'm not saying that there wasn't a time when this is true, but this is absolutely not true in the modern economy. And that is, if you bring fuel and transportation prices down, the price of everything else will come down as well. No, it will not. It absolutely will not. Because all you have to do is think about that from the supplier's perspective. If you have this huge corporation and prices come down, fuel prices come down, and let's say you save $20 million a year in distribution costs, are you going to pass those savings on to your customers, or are you going to pass those savings on to your shareholders? As a matter of fact, I could make the argument that prices could go up when transportation costs come down. I'm not saying they will. I'm saying they could from some.
It's sad that corporations have become this machine that lower production costs only equal record profits, right? They don't lower production costs. It's less tied to how much it costs them to produce it and more tied to what can they get away with. And the only way to fucking fix this is to stop buying it. But we've seen, like, you guys remember this stupid, like, nobody's buying gas on Friday.
Some companies, because the way companies look at it is, oh, people have more money in their pocket. Gas is cheap. We can charge them a little more. There's also historical data that shows us that high gas prices don't lead to high inflation. All you have to do is look at inflation under the Obama administration when we had record high gas prices.
And inflation was fine. We had record high gas prices when Obama was in office and inflation was fine. Trump's theory about this energy thing is not true.
No crazy inflation there. No crazy inflation under the Bush administration when we had record high gas prices. It didn't happen. You cannot make the argument that corporations are raking people over the coals and then turn around and make the same argument that they'll lower their prices if you lower their transportation and distribution cost. No. They're just going to redirect that money to shareholders.
They're going to rake harder.
Not give it back to consumers. Sorry. Thanks. Okay, here's the deal. The reason I have the most scammers and copycats on my account is because I'm in the oil and gas industry. And scammers understand that people are always looking for investment opportunities. So they use my account to try to scam people. And that's why on my account I don't ask for investment. I don't and never will. What kind of oil and gas professional would I be if I was asking people on TikTok for investment? You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's a couple of them out there. Yeah. I am not going to message you. I am not going to ask you to invest. I'm good. Don't need your money. I'm good. Won't be messaging. If you get a message from me, it ain't me. Okay, here's the deal. The reason I have the most...
You guys want to do some shenanigans? You mean commit multiple felonies? If you were to do what he's about to suggest in this video, you would be committing multiple crimes and guilty of multiple felonies, to include mail fraud, impersonating an American citizen, voter fraud.
God damn, this is literally like shooting fish in a barrel with you, man. Holy shit. I don't know what you're...
Oh, no. Let me... I want to see what he says. This is the older millennial, the guy that wanted the hedge fund for regular people or whatever. And it just seemed like he was just scamming his followers to buy apartment buildings. I don't know which video it is. Hold on.
He was suggesting to do.
Oh, you would be committing multiple crimes and guilty of
He's in a
felony.
white t-shirt. And it looks like he's
Mail fraud,
inside.
impersonating an American citizen, voter.
I want to see this. This guy's a fucking joke, dude. This guy has, but because he's on that Trump MAGA bullshit, is this it? Because he's on that Trump MAGA bullshit, he's got followers. That's the easiest way to build a following. No, that's not it, but he is inside in that one. Is it a more recent video then? Did I skip over it? God damn it. I want to see what he says.
They just tried to assassinate Donald Trump. If you're not aware, Trump's VP is going to be J. Shooter at the Trump rally. I, on the other hand, flew to the other side of the country.
It's Wednesday night, and Kamala Harris is black.
Well, is she really? Please.
Yes.
Imagine you're running the Amazon. TikTok, what the fuck is going on? You literally took down my live where all I was doing was playing the interview between each. All right, so let's make a video about this.
The interview is not.
He was flying in Epstein's.
Let's make a video about this before
flying.
I only say that because
The interview is not even working. Like, no.
I wish there was something. I want to create a middle-class hedge fund.
Damn it, I don't know how old it is. I want to see what he was fucking saying. It must be an older video, though. He had the guy talk and said, you want to do... It looks like... Or maybe he deleted it. That's all the videos on his account right now? Oh, this isn't the real older... I'm an idiot. I clicked the one he tagged, but he must have to tag... He must be blocked by him. This guy blocks a lot of people. The older millennial.1. Is that his main account? 1.3 million followers. Does he delete a bunch of videos, I guess? No, this has more videos on it. All right, we're looking for him in a white t-shirt. This one?
It is amazing how Democrat officials have no problem lying to the people when they get called out. Pay attention. And please...
No, but we've got more. Okay, it's probably one of these. No, that's the wrong. That doesn't have the crocheted thing behind him.
CNN just got caught using AI to try to make the crowds at a Kamala Harris. I am still waiting for the day when these... CNN just got caught using AI to try to make the crowds at a Kamala Harris event look bigger. Let me introduce you to Catherine Rampell. She works for the Washington Post and is a commentator on CNN. And this was the image she posted.
Wait a second. So you're saying CNN did this, and you just said she works for WAPO and it has spoke on CNN before.
Said scenes from the Harris fundraiser in Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Then people started noticing some little issues with this photo. And she said, getting spam claiming these photos are AI. Not sure why I'd use AI to create a crowd of people in downtown Pittsfield. Then people started zooming in. The fuck is going on with that road sign?
It's got a filter. Do you not see how this kind of looks like it's a painting? This is a filter on this.
How does that happen? Someone explain to me how they can put their hands through the fucking sign? And what fucking language is this? Like, it's very obvious.
It says outdoor recreation. I read it in English, bro.
Hands through the fucking sign? And what fucking language?
So this clearly has a filter on it, right? And it looks like it's zoomed in. But what fucking language is this? Can you guys not read that? It says outdoor recreation.
Like, it's very
Everything's
obvious.
AI.
This is all fake. Like, they tried to take a tiny crowd at her fundraiser.
He also claims that the airplane is AI and said if anybody could find one video, if you could find just one video of the crowds of the crowd at this hangar from the crowds, then there you go. We take it all back. You can prove us all wrong. Everybody will relent to you that you were right. I found one in like 30 seconds. I don't know. I don't think we're going to find it. Let's go back to this one.
You guys want to do some shenanigans? You mean commit multiple felonies? If you were to do what he's about to suggest in this video, you would be committing multiple crimes and guilty of multiple felonies, to include mail fraud, impersonating an American citizen, voter fraud.
God damn, this is literally like shooting fish in a barrel with you, man. Holy shit. I don't know what you're suggesting he was suggesting to do.
I no longer support Trump. No.
To do is perfectly legal. New law passed by Republicans in the state of Georgia. This law that allows people in Georgia to go to that website and challenge other people's voter registration. Yeah, that's what
So he was saying use this website to challenge other people's voter registration that Georgia set up.
that guy was talking about, going on that website and challenging other people's registrations. Here's the law. Senate Bill 189, passed in Georgia, signed by Brian Kemp. And you and your big brain talking about all of these felonies when what he is suggesting people do is something that was made perfectly legal by the party that you support. Good luck with the rage baiting, bro. Oh my God, fuck around.
If they win the day after the victory, they'll stop with all the drilling, but they went back
Looks just like him in that photo on the beach.
to it because prices were going through the roof. They were going really bad, and that's what caused our...
Oh, I want to see what his claims were. Mail fraud?
You mean commit multiple felonies? If you were to do what he's about to suggest in this video, you would be committing multiple crimes and guilty of multiple felonies, to include mail fraud, impersonating an American citizen, voter fraud.
Mail fraud, impersonating is impersonating an American citizen even a fucking crime? If you just say I'm an American and you're not? Because I've seen people do that before. Impersonating an American citizen. Is that illegal? I can't even find his video on it, so who the fuck knows?
Yeah, this is literally like shoot.
All right, back to Trump.
If they win the day after the victory, they'll stop with all the drilling, but they went back to it because prices were going through the roof. They were going really bad, and that's what caused our inflation, and that's what destroyed the lives of many Americans.
Is it opposite day? It must be opposite day. So first of all, let's look at why oil prices were high in 2021 and 2022. Under the Trump administration, OPEC was producing 37.5 million barrels a day. And then right in here, Donald Trump made that OPEC 2020 deal. What was OPEC producing in 2021? 31 million barrels a day? 37, 31. You think that might impact oil prices? What about 2020?
And that was Trump's deal.
34. 37, 34. You think that might impact oil prices? And why were they doing this? Why were they producing so much less?
Why were they producing less that raised our oil prices? Why would they do that? Oh, because Trump convinced them to.
Doing this. Why were they producing so much less? Trump's historic oil deal. Yeah, it was fucking historic, all right. When did the deal end? April 2022. Yeah, this is when Trump cut a deal for OPEC to cut production by 10% for 2 years. That deal ended in April 22. What else did they say about it? Trump was personally involved throughout the process and showed his skill at deal making. Wow. You want to see what April 22 looks like on a chart? You see that peak oil price? That's April 22. You see all of that falling? That's after April 22. Our highest rig counts was when those prices were high. Rig counts are lower now than they were when prices were over $120 a barrel. He's saying we're drilling now, but weren't drilling then. Our rig counts have dropped a lot, mostly because natural gas prices are some of the lowest in history because we have drilled so much. But we cannot drill our way out of high oil prices. That is not a thing. We can do it with natural gas, but we can't do it with oil. That is because we control our natural gas market. We don't control the global oil market. Not even by a little bit. Thanks.
If they win...
Hi, everyone. I wanted to let everyone know, some of you may know that I co-host a radio show, podcast called The Energy Mix with EIN CEO.
Oh, that's cool.
There's the background graphic for my most recent interview. Sometimes I'm the host and sometimes I'm the guest. Kim interviews me at times and I interview other guests at times. And next week, I'm going to be interviewing Mr. Global. He was the first person I interviewed.
Oh, sweet.
I took over as...
Mark your calendars for Monday, August the 19th. That's this coming Monday.
I was hoping he would answer more comments.
Central Time. I will be appearing on this show, Matt On Air, which you can find on...
I like this guy.
Way to get gas
He seems to be pretty straightforward.
prices down? Do you know a good way to get gas prices down? Have a global pandemic and have everybody stay at home. That is why gas prices plummeted in 2020. That is 100% why. That's why oil prices were negative briefly in 2020. We had a pandemic.
Catherine, even before the pandemic, the price of gas was about 40% cheaper than it is today.
And also the overall CPI has...
So CNN started this spot by stating they were bringing on 2 experts to talk about oil and gas. I've never heard of either one of these people, and neither one of them are experts in oil and gas by any means.
Uh-oh.
CNN, where did you find these people? These are not oil and gas experts. I found this one, Catherine Rampell. She's a writer for the Washington Post. I looked through her whole background. Zero. Nothing about oil and gas. Anything about nothing. Nothing in her background. Nothing.
She an economist?
The other guy is this guy, Stephen Moore. He's nothing about oil and gas. He's worked for the Heritage Foundation. He's a writer. He worked on some presidential campaign. Nothing in his background. Nothing. Not a single thing in either one of these people's backgrounds. Their education, their work experience, nothing is related to oil and gas in any way whatsoever. And CNN has them arguing on their show as oil and gas experts. Oh, and newsflash, nothing against these people. But the Catherine Rampell girl, she cited some statistics, but it was obvious she knows nothing about oil and gas. And the other guy, he knew even less. He didn't have a clue. And this right here is why nobody in this country knows anything about oil and gas or this industry whatsoever. Because these large media networks bring these people on, they don't have a clue what they're talking about. They get on there and they just scream at each other about things they don't even know.
They want the ratings. So someone asked Destiny the other day, Piers Morgan said he'd never have you back on his show, and then he was back on it like 3 days later. They want that, right? They want the ratings. They want the over-the-top statements. They want the crazy fights. They want the yelling back and forth and say, okay, well, I guess this topic's still up for debate.
Even know. And like I said, nothing against these people.
It sells, right? You get clicks.
About as much about oil and gas as the average person. Yeah. Good job, CNN. Let's uncover some misinformation in mainstream media, specifically on the show Morning Joe. I'll show you.
Steve, what did the numbers show? Well, first of all, we were never energy independent under Donald Trump. In fact, we really haven't been energy independent going back until sometime before 1950. You can see that the amount of oil imports that we had during Trump did in fact decline. This was part of a long progression that goes back to the mid-2000s. It's nothing that he particularly did. It continued under Biden, and lo and behold, the first time we've been energy independent as it applies to oil was in 2023 under Biden's presidency, when we actually...
I don't think we've ever been energy independent.
We exported a bit more oil than we imported.
No. So first of all, let's clearly define what energy independence is. It's when you produce more energy than you consume, period. We did become energy independent in 2019 under Donald Trump, and we are still energy independent today. We're more energy independent than we was then. And that guy is citing this report that was recently released in March of
Well, I guess that would be on importing oil. We're still importing oil.
This year that,
U.S. achieves energy independence for the first time in 40 years in 2024.
Achieves energy independence for the first time in 40 years.
So what does he say it is?
From a report that was put out by J.P. Morgan. This is the J.P. Morgan report. And in this report, it says the U.S. has achieved energy independence for the first time in 40 years, but it doesn't say when. It just says, see the chart below, right? Well, the chart below clearly shows that we crossed that line in 2019, not in 2024. And then Steve Ratner goes to his little chart that he has on his background in the studio and shows a line that we imported less oil than we exported in 2024. That's false.
We imported, hold on.
And Steve Ratner goes to his little chart that he has on his background in the studio and shows a line that we imported less oil than we exported in 2024. That's false.
We imported less oil than we exported. Okay.
This number right here is imports, 218. This number right here is exports. So when it comes to just crude oil only and not all...
So where's that chart from?
Still import.
Oh, just crude oil only. Okay.
We export. And what that guy on MSNBC, Steve Ratner, what he's doing, he's
all
comparing
oil.
Crude oil imports to total petroleum exports. So he's not using...
Okay. So it's two different... Okay, it's different things.
Either just crude or crude and petroleum, right? Whenever you're looking at crude oil imports and exports, make sure you're looking at what you want to look at, because you can look at just crude oil, or you can look at another graph that says crude oil and petroleum products. Again, he is comparing crude oil imports only to crude oil exports that also include other petroleum. Newsweek ran that story back in March or May, whenever it was, just to make it look like we only became energy independent under the Biden administration. And the report they cited in their report that came out by J.P. Morgan does not support what they say, because J.P. Morgan's report says just look at the chart. The chart says 2019. Newsweek. The chart says 2019. The reason this misinformation is bad is because the average person can go fact check this and think it's not misinformation, because they don't understand how to read the data and how to separate out and categorize the data properly. So a lot of people will fact check this and say, oh yeah, he's right. It's not right. Not right at all. Are we energy independent? Yes. Are we more energy independent than ever? Yes. Did it just occur this year? No. It's been going on since 2019. And by the way, energy independence has nothing to do with just oil imports and exports. This whole segment was misleading and false. Thanks. Let's uncover some misinformation in mainstream media, specifically on the show Morning Joe. I'll show you.
Steve, what are the
okay, we got consumption, production.
We were never energy independent under Donald Trump. In fact, we really haven't been energy independent going back until sometime before 1950.
Imports, exports.
Oil imports that we had during Trump did in fact decline. This was part of a long progression that goes back to the mid-2000s. It's nothing that he particularly...
So this is a great question about energy independence. And Lisa asks, just so she's sure, energy independence is about consumption and not about exports and imports. That is correct. Energy independence is simply that you produce more energy than you consume. And the reason exports matter is very important. You see, we have a lot.
You produce more than you consume. It has nothing to do with imports or exports.
Capacity to store energy.
This guy's name's Mr. Global.
In this country. And in the future, that is going to grow exponentially. In the future, we are going to be storing a ton of energy. So it's going to be produced energy that's not going to be exported. It's either going to be used or stored for later use. So looking at exports and imports does not give you a full picture of our production capacity and our consumption.
So this chart has. So this is what he's talking about.
Storage capacity becomes great enough.
So this chart here says U.S. prime energy overview from 1950 to 2023. And we have consumption, which is how much we actually use. We have production, right? That's how much we produce here. Then we have import exports. And import exports doesn't always, I mean, it kind of trails along, but it's not always the same as production and consumption. So if we look at this sharp downturn here, this is in 2020. Let's see, production dropped. Consumption dropped, and then past 2020. So in 2021, we produced 93.8. We consumed 93.3. 2022, we produced 98. We consumed 94. 2023, we produced 102. We consumed 93. And obviously 2024 numbers aren't out yet. But I like this trend at the very end. It looks like we have a sharp production going up, right, to over 100 quadrillion BTUs. And this is for energy, not just petroleum. And we are only consuming 93.59 quadrillion BTUs.
Theoretically, we could produce significantly more energy than we consume, and the exports and imports wouldn't match that. And I know a lot of people, and even other experts, they focus on net imports, net exports, and all of this stuff. But if we stopped exporting all petroleum products tomorrow and continued to import, the exports and imports would flip, but we would still be energy independent. And in 20, 30, 40 years, we are going to have an insane amount of battery storage in this country that's just going to be stored energy. And that is why
I think that would also be a really good investment. Battery storage, right? Because there's times that we can produce excess and then we need the storage in place. I think that'd be a great investment. There's going to be gigantic battery storage places eventually. When the technology catches up, whoever's the first to get out a really good technology that's not so hard on the environment.
I only use production versus consumption. I do not consider imports and exports in any way. Thanks. So this is one of those very simple yet very great questions. What difference does it make if we're energy independent? Because a lot of people have the misperception that energy independence equals lower prices. No, energy independence has nothing to do with price. Energy independence has everything to do.
Wait, it doesn't bring down our inflation and cut your grocery bill in half and a gallon of milk is now free. Plus they pat you on the ass when you leave.
Energy security and national security. You see, there was a time when we were completely at the mercy of other nations for our energy needs, especially oil. A lot of people remember the oil embargo and, long lines to get gas and really high gas prices. What they don't remember is that OPEC didn't cut us off completely. There was a time when we could have been cut off completely and essentially shut the country down. Yes. And now people are very sensitive to what we are still exposed to. Yes, OPEC can cut production and impact global oil prices, but on a very limited basis. I mean, basically where they are right now is about all they can do to us because they simply cannot afford to cut any more. We produce more oil and natural gas than any country in the world ever has, and the vast majority of what we import comes from our closest allies. We do not rely on OPEC for oil. We rely on them to keep oil on the global market, to keep prices in control, but not even that much anymore. If you consider the fact that other countries around the world are limited to basically cutting supply to where we're paying $4 on a national average for gasoline, if that's the worst they can do,
as long as we stay where we're at, I think that's why it's not as big a deal for the petrodollar as it would have been at one time.
Pretty damn good off. Because we're producing enough oil now that the $5 gas we averaged in 2022, we shouldn't see that again. Because those other countries around the world that are not our friends simply cannot cut production enough to make.
So no one else can fuck us hard enough to where we should see this like sudden spike to like $5 a gallon. We're doing our own thing.
It could go that high again. Do not forget the fact that Russia is now a part of OPEC, and that directly threatens our energy security if we don't have energy independence. So it's very important that we maintain the energy independence we have for our energy security and national security. Thanks. See, this is one of those very simple yet very great questions.
Yeah, that we'd have to get fucked by our own country.
Because a lot of people have the misperception.
Have a good night, comrades. I'm signing off. I'm for socialism, big pharma, and big oil. Notice I didn't say oil. Those are two different things. See you guys. Support the show while we're offline because socialism isn't free. Thank you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good night. Leave a donation or I will haunt you when I die broke.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well listen bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6 cents for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip, worshiping Trump's cock and
tell your ultra left commie liberal libtard socialist comrade armada friends that to watch the show, and we have vodka. I don't know what they like.
Told him if he did, he get fucking superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason.
Craft beer and hipster beards.
I strapped it to my
We're here.
and I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16.
Happy birthday to Mariah. Today is technically our birthday. It's after midnight.
Saluted the troops.
It's 1 a.m. Happy birthday, Mariah.
Wait.
43 today. Turning 43.
Miles, wait, what are you doing? Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Oh, give me oh my God.
Good night, guys.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit.